Alright everybody, so I got another video for you today and a raid run that I don't think I've seen anybody do. Somebody asked me a weird question. One of the subscribers asked me a weird question. The question was whether or not you could use Scorch with the dark side clones without Tarkin. Now I had a couple questions, but after thinking about it a little bit, let me walk you through what I came up to. So initially they didn't want to R9 Tarkin. So they're using the clones, they have the clones at R9, but they are using Lord Vader as the lead. Completely understandable. A lot of people are doing that. Most people will R9 Tarkin. Why? Because he's useful in the raid, and raid teams, I think initially a lot of people R9 Tarkin because they were thinking just like, you know, it's raid teams are going to be a short commodity and we want to get as many points as possible. So especially when the R9 Tarkin 2-man came out, people were like, okay, well that's a no-brainer, Scorch and Tarkin. Okay, but what if you had enough raid points already, you didn't need another team, so you don't need Tarkin? The question would be, could Scorch work in the Dark Side Clone Trooper 3-man? Okay, well, my question would be why if that team already works? But what I ultimately came to, and I think what they were ultimately getting at, and I think it's a reasonable question, is would Scorch make it easier? So that's what we're gonna kind of delve into. Now, as you can see on the screen, and as you saw by the thumbnail, the answer, can it be done, is yes. And it would seem so because nothing really about Scorch would seem to mess up that run. But will it make it easier? It doesn't manipulate the mechanics that we typically have a problem with in the 3-man Darkside Clone Trooper run. Can't believe I'm gonna do this, but I mean, I know I'm gonna do this because I need Scorch for the Tarkin 2-man, so I'm gonna discard it. But okay, so where would it make it easier? Well, there's actually another point at which the raid can get a little dicey, or the run can get a little bit dicey, right? And that is after wave 1, when you no longer have the Order 66 turn meter train. Does he help? Well, I think yes. I think he does help. And what you just saw was my first run. Well, I mean, I had one run, but I got CX2 to assist, right? So that's a normal restart for everybody. But that was my second run that you just saw doing it. And I didn't have any issues going into the second wave. So I'm gonna go ahead and recreate this, hopefully relatively easy, and show you all what it's like. I'm gonna show you a couple runs that probably will be bad refreshes, but hopefully we get there pretty quick, okay? So I'm gonna start by going over the mods, okay? Because everybody wants to know what the mods are. Scorch, nothing special. It's the exact same mods that I use in my Tarkin Scorch 2-man that you can see here, okay? Those are the mods that I go over, and ultimately I think they don't matter because why is Scorch here? He's just a body, and if you got him, you might as well use him, right? Because without Tarkin, he's kind of useless. So going over to our other mods for Darkside Clone Trooper. Well, let me go ahead and run through I forgot to show you the stats. Okay, let me show you the stats. Not that I think they matter a ton, but we got 92,000 health, 160,000 protection, 317 speed. Does not need to be this quick by any means, but he is. So we'll just call it there. Okay, and the damage, we got 6,200. He's not here for the damage. Okay, people. Okay. Tenacity set, defense set, and health set, because I wanted to spread around things just in case. Okay, getting to the real stats that matter, we got offense and crit chance on Disguised Clone Trooper. Go ahead and look at these stats real quick. These mods will all be down in the description below as well. So we got 78,000 health, 79,000 protection. That's not incredibly important, but 313 speed is pretty good, pretty helpful. And then the special damage is really what we're looking at here with 13,700. The most important thing about all of this is you want to make sure Oppo goes before Disguised Clone Trooper, okay? That still remains true from the 3-man to the 4-man, okay? So we'll go over to CX2 next. You do not need him this fast, but I like him this fast because he goes first. And because he goes first, that means we get to Order 66 on Oppo a little bit quicker. A lot of people have done it without. You don't need him this fast, okay? But I have him at 350, so You got him, use him, right? Okay, so he can go lower in the turn order. He does not have to go in any particular place. Obviously, you just want him to go before the enemy goes. Okay, so potency, not too big of a deal. Damage is ultimately not that big a deal either. It's mostly just speed and survivability. Okay, so we got speed set and then health as a second set. Okay, going to Oppo. Oppo, you want to load up potency because you want the stun to land. That's a big part of the way the run works. We got him at 335 really fast. Again, you can do it faster or you can do it slower or faster really, but you can do it slower. You just want him to go before Disguised Clone Trooper because you need to just call Disguised Clone Trooper to assist. So we do got crit damage on him for 192%. He can put out some damage, especially with Nightfall Trooper. So if you can get some extra damage on here, definitely get it, but potency is number one. 144% right there. Okay, so that is all the mods. Again, you can find those down in the description below. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into the run. Disclaimer, this is an R9 only run. The Order 66 turn meter train does not work at lower tiers. Number one issue I've seen people running into with this run is that they're doing it at the wrong tier. Okay, so R9 tier only. Okay, so to start off the run, it's the same as the Darkside Clone Trooper 3-man with just a little bit difference with when we get to Scorch's turn. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and disarm on Oppo over here. CX2 always attacks Oppo until we get to the end of the wave. So we're gonna target a Nightfall Trooper and we're gonna use Oppo's stun. First bit of RNG, that stun needs to land. Second bit of RNG is Disguised Clone Trooper needs to assist. If CX2 assists, you restart, okay? So here we got lucky, Disguised Clone Trooper assisted. Next, we go over to the other Nightfall Trooper that is not stunned and use a basic so we can go ahead and stun him. This is important for later, okay? So now we get to the first place that it diverges. We're on Scorch's turn here. What do we do, right? So let's take a look at Scorch's kit to see if there's anything that would help the run, right? So with his basic, deal physical damage to target enemy and dispel all debuffs on a random debuffed Empire ally. Well, we got no debuffs right now, so that doesn't really matter. If the target enemy had Order 66, reduce the cooldowns of a random other non-galactic Legend Empire ally by 1. Okay, well, looking at it, we don't have Order 66 on anybody. The plan later is to get Order 66 here, here, and here, but right now it's not going to affect anything. Where I see this kind of sort of helping could be in cooling down Oppo's stun. Maybe, sort of. I don't know, but right now it's not going to do much, okay? Let's look at the AoE. Deal physical damage to all enemies, inflict 2 stacks of damage over time for 2 turns, and off balance for 2 turns, which can't be copied. Now, I don't know if we particularly need this, but off balance and the damage over time are going to put out a little bit more damage, especially just the AoE in general, right? That doesn't necessarily hurt us with getting rid of anything. So that's not a bad option, right? And then we have Scorch's third ability, which is the taunt. He taunts for 2 turns, recovers health, protection, gains 5 stacks of bulwark for 2 turns, which can't be copied. At the start of battle, if there's a leader, we don't have a leader. That's one of the unique things about this team. Blah, 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 blah. So Darkside Clone Trooper allies gain protection up 25% for 2 turns. That isn't incredibly useful in this wave because we're going to run a turn meter train. So hopefully we don't take any damage, right? Okay, so far it seems like there's no problems in using the AoE because we don't have retribution on everybody yet. So let's go ahead and use the AoE, right? Target Oppo. Okay, so that time we didn't get any off balance or anything, but I have in the past. So, well, I did in the last run because I've only done this once before, but nonetheless. Okay, so the second point, well, the third part of RNG, right? So the first one was Oppo getting the stun. The second one was Disguised Clone Trooper getting called assist. The third step of RNG is targeting a Nightfall Trooper that's stunned with Nightfall Trooper's special ability. We need Disguised Clone Trooper to get called to assist. If this doesn't work, we back out and restart, okay? So use the special, hope we get lucky. We got it, we're in business. Okay, so this should be pretty good. I think it should be home free from here. Okay, so with CX2, we're always gonna target Oppo because he has the previous marks and we want Order 66 on Oppo. So use a basic on Oppo. Okay, with Oppo's AoE, we're gonna go ahead and target Fox and we're just gonna hit the AoE. Should do damage to everybody, get some people low. Okay. Now, in a previous run, I AoE'd here. It doesn't really matter too much. Or no, not here, not here, not here, not here. You do not AoE here. Whoa, I almost got ahead of myself. Okay, with this round, you're gonna use Disguised Clone Trooper to target the non-Order 66 Nightfall Trooper. Oh my gosh, I'm so glad I didn't throw this turn away. Okay, that was so close. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and target the other Nightfall Trooper without Order 66 and use the basic to apply it. Okay, so now we get 100% turn meter. Everybody's in business, we're all good. Okay, so now we have an option to use Scorch's ability again. Scorch is going to come up a lot here because we have Order 66, which gives everybody turn meter. So we got a choice between using the basic and we got a choice between using the taunt. Okay, well, we don't need taunt just yet because we want it going into wave 2 so that we can survive, because that's normally a pain point for us. It can be, right? So we don't use the taunt, no reason to use it, and we don't want to blow it. So we want to use the basic on somebody. We either use the basic on Oppo over here or Fox, because we usually want to get rid of them, or we can use it on somebody with Order 66, and then a random person would have their cooldowns reduced. So this would be the first time where it actually kind of matters. It doesn't really matter too much. We don't want to target Oppo though, because we want Oppo to ultimately survive, because we can go ahead and control things when we get to the end of this wave, right? So we want to be able to control our turn meters, and we need Oppo alive to be able to do that, and we're going to hit Oppo a few times anyway with CX2, so we're not going to target Oppo. But for now, let's go ahead and use a basic on one of the guys with Order 66 so that we can get somebody's cooldowns reduced, okay? I don't know who did it, but we'll find out. It wasn't Nightfall Trooper, whoever it was. Okay, so with Nightfall Trooper, we're going to go ahead and target Fox because we're trying to get rid of Fox here, and we'll use a basic, okay? Now we're going to go ahead and use CX2 to target Oppo, get Order 66. Okay, now we're going to take Oppo and go back over to Fox and target with the basic. Now I think normally, because we wouldn't have Scorch here, everybody else would have defense penetration up, and I think Oppo would have called Nightfall Trooper to assist. Ultimately, not a huge deal, but just something to know, right? Okay, so now I think we're safe to kind of AoE. I think that's what I did last time. So we're gonna go ahead and AoE. Takes out a bunch of people. Okay, so we might have taken out too many people, quite honestly. But let's see where we're at from here. We should be good. We'd be able to manage everything on Lord Vader. I don't think we can take out too many people except Oppo right here. So let's go ahead and get our turn meter, because I don't like the way the turn meters are looking quite yet. Oppo's still half health. We have a lot of work to do on him, and we need our stacks. Right, so we don't want to give up the turn meter train yet. Let's go ahead and use a basic. Do not use Dire Fortitude with CX2. You don't do that with CX2. Okay, but what we can do is go ahead and Dire Fortitude with Scorch now that we have him, right? Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and use a basic. We're gonna start getting some stacks over here because we want to get our stacks maxed out before we kill Oppo. Okay, we still need some time, so we're gonna go ahead and basic over here on Oppo to get Order 66 again. Okay. Then we'll go ahead and target Lord Vader with Oppo, get another stack. Disguised Clone Trooper, we'll go ahead and I think we are safe to go ahead and take out this guy. Okay. Then we're down to CX2. If we target Oppo, we're gonna get turn meter, and then we're gonna have to kind of redo this whole thing a little bit, which we can do. That's not too much of a problem. Right now though, if we target Lord Vader, he'll go up to 3 stacks. And then we have 2 people without turn meter. Now remember from the other run, we want to kill Oppo when everybody else is at 0% turn meter, okay? So that's the ultimate goal. 3 people at 0% turn meter. In this case, because we have Scorch, we want 4 people at 0% turn meter before we take out Oppo, okay? So that way everybody else can get turn meter, and then we rescue. And then going into wave 2, we have pretty full turn meter, okay? So that being said, what are we gonna do here? Let's see. 1 would put him at 3 stacks. Scorch goes next, puts him at 4 stacks, and then we relying on KFT to take out Oppo. Oppo's still a little high. I don't think KFT can take out Oppo, especially with no buffs over here to call Oppo to assist. So we're gonna go ahead and get turn meter again, kind of reset the turn meter, and then kind of clock back down. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and target Lord Vader here. You know what, actually we want to taunt with Scorch, because this is where we would taunt in order to go into wave 2, I think. So let's go ahead and taunt here. Now we're gonna go ahead and use KFT to target Lord Vader. We got 3 stacks. CX2, we're not going to refresh the turn meter here, because what we're gonna do is get to 4 stacks on here, and then one of these 2 guys should be able to take out Oppo. Okay, so we'll go ahead and target Lord Vader with CX2 this time, 4 stacks. Okay, now we don't want to rescue just yet. DCT should definitely be able to take out Oppo. So we'll go ahead and use Oppo to target Lord Vader. And that way, it doesn't do anything with the stacks, but it gets everybody down to 0% turn meter. Now we're going to use Disguised Clone Trooper. Attacking somebody with Order 66 with Ruse will definitely kill Oppo, like that. Okay, so now everybody jumped up in turn meter. Now we go ahead and rescue. Okay, now everybody survives. Now, this is a way better position than we are normally in coming into wave 2 with the 3-man. Okay, now you can obviously still win here plenty of times with the 3-man. I'm not gonna overstate this, but this does seem to be a much safer position. The turn meters are looking great. Even if the turn meters weren't perfect, we would have Scorch taunting with Bulwark. I think we're gonna be fine with this no matter what, honestly. So now we might have refreshed our stun. We should have stun coming in here anyway. So we're gonna go ahead and try to stun the Nightfall Trooper with Oppo, okay? Doesn't really matter too much who we get called to assist here. Now we have an extra body to go ahead and do things with, right? So nobody has Retribution. We're free to go ahead and AoE if we want to, kind of knock people off balance. We could also demoralize to make it harder on them to survive, ultimately. So I think we have it. We might as well use it. We'll go ahead and use Demoralize here, okay? Now we're free to go ahead and use Disguised Clone Trooper's AoE to get people out of there, okay? So we'll go ahead and target, let's target Disguised Clone Trooper because he's the real threat in all this over Nightfall Trooper. Okay, and then we got the Retribution attack back. Okay, let's go ahead and take out Nightfall Trooper, no reason not to. And then we'll just go ahead and get our stacks, right? Give maybe Oppo, or not Oppo, Scorch some time to go ahead and get his taunt back, make things easier. I think there's maybe a way we could have done that where we saved everybody alive, but we have pretty good turn meters right here, so we'll go ahead and rescue. And then we should be pretty good. So, I think we're go ahead safe to AoE here, just to get damage down. And take out a Nightfall Trooper, perfect. Remember, Oppo on his AoE will call Nightfall Trooper to assist. So that's something to keep in mind. Now, we're good on execute stacks. We don't need to really worry about the attack back, but there's not really any reason to take the chance. I mean, we're already gonna get 1, so we might as well hit Disguised Clone Trooper, actually. I think we're okay to AoE. Knock him off balance, make this a little bit easier. We didn't get that, and he didn't even assist because he dodged. Okay, so we'll go ahead and take out the Nightfall Trooper. We'll go ahead and use KFT special to call somebody to assist. There we go, we got him out. And then we can't really get Disguised Clone Trooper, but ultimately it's not gonna make a difference. Let's go ahead and just go in on Lord Vader. AoE to take out Disguised Clone Trooper, and there you have it. Honestly, pretty easy and straightforward. I didn't see anywhere that Scorch messed this up. And to be honest, he did at least make it a little bit safer and cleaner going into wave 2 and wave 3. And we had more people with turn meter, right? So that's ultimately the goal when we're going into wave 2 and wave 3. That's why we do that little management to get everybody down to 0% turn meter before we hit Oppo. Because we want them to be close to 100% turn meter so we can avoid and limit how many attacks we're taking back. And we had another body to go ahead and use Demoralize, which made it a little bit easier because you can't normally do that because you kind of need the damage to get through the wave. So, would I recommend this? Absolutely, if you don't have Tarkin. There's no other purpose for Scorch in this raid. I don't know any other team you're using him with. If you R9'd all of your clones for whatever reason, and you have Scorch R9, go ahead and use him if you don't have Tarkin. If you do have Tarkin, or you're willing to Tarkin and you want to max your score, or get your score at least higher, right? Then I highly recommend taking Tarkin to R9 and using the Scorch with him for the 2-man. The Disguised Clone Trooper and Oppo and CX2 can absolutely get a 3-person run. So yeah, I don't think he's entirely necessary, not by any means, but I think he does help. I think he provides some help. Now, if I was in the situation where I had a Disguised Clone Trooper, CX2 and Oppo R9 already for the air battle or something, or for whatever reason you have them already R9'd, and you don't have Scorch R9, I would not take Scorch to R9 just for this run. I don't think there's a purpose in doing that. I think you're fine to do it without them. I don't think you need to sacrifice the R9 materials. But again, if you're in the situation where you don't want to R9 Tarkin, you're fine with your raid score at 3.6 million with these characters, and you just want to make it a little bit easier, then I think adding Scorch on the team is a way to do that. Okay, so a little bit of a weird one. Thank you for the question. Made me think about it and gave me a run to go ahead and do that I don't think I've seen anybody else do. Maybe that's because there's no reason, but at least one other person was thinking about it, so hopefully this helps somebody. But yeah, there you have it. If you got value out of this, go ahead and hit the like button, hit the subscribe button for more content like this, and hit the notification bell so you know when I do it. All right, you have a good day.